So Momocon is coming up, and as a photographer, I need to start getting packed, making sure that I'm not overpacking, I have all my essential gear, and that I'm going to be able to capture some amazing images. So today we're going to be talking about what I'm bringing to Momocon 2025 and what I recommend photographers bring when they're doing cosplay shoots to any convention. So let's go ahead and get into it. So starting off, I want to start with the bag. And so the bag that I'm going to be bringing most likely is my Peak Design 10-liter bag. This is the version 1. And what's really cool about the version 1 is it stores, as the name implies, 10 liters. It has 2 dividers, and it has a lot of pockets in it to be able to hold on to batteries. The dividers are there that help in separating. Typically I have my camera on one section, I have my speed light on another section, and then I have like random essentials on the other section. And we're going to be getting into those in just a second. Now, before I move any further, I do also want to recommend that you just find what is your niche, or how do you usually like to shoot. So for example, when I'm using my Peak Design 10 liter, this is because I like speed lights. I like strobes. I think being able to have gels on those strobes adds a nice pop of color. I can have more control in the scene, and being able to use the speed lights is something that helps me, and that is my style of photography. If you're a natural light photographer, if you know you won't be using any speed lights at all, that's one whole section gone. And so what I would recommend you pack is, or what I recommend you use for your bag, is the Peak Design 6-liter bag. The 6-liter is smaller, it has 1 divider instead of 2. And I think it's really nice if you just want to put your camera on one side and then your other essentials on the other. You don't need to worry about a speed light, and therefore you don't have to worry about a tripod or even using a soft box for it. Okay, so those were the bags. Next, I'm gonna move into the lenses. So I have 2 lenses that I recommend. The first lens I'll recommend is, if you're on a budget, use the Nifty 50. This is the Canon RF 50 millimeter 1.8, I believe. And so this is probably the lens I would recommend for any starting out cosplay photographers, any hobbyists to pick up first, because it is the cheapest. It is probably the most bang for your buck when it comes to taking pictures and cosplay photos. And that 1.8 allows you to take some lower light photos. If you're in a convention, for example, sometimes the overhead lights aren't the best, so I recommend having something that can stop down to a 1.8 or a 2. Just because that lighting isn't great, and also because of the bokeh that it can provide. If you have bokeh, that means you're able to isolate the subject. And when you're at a convention, unless you're moving with the photographer to some place really quiet that doesn't have a lot of people, which can be tough sometimes depending on what the convention is, I would be able to freeze them out using the bokeh of the 1.8 or the f2 or the f1.2, depending on the lens that you're able to get. So next, moving on, talking about 1.2, I have probably my favorite lens here, probably my best looking lens, I should say, as far as what it's able to produce. This is my RF 85 1.2, and it has a Black Pro Mist filter on it, 1/4, and that's from Tiffin. And this lens is just amazing. I think this is probably the best lens when it comes to any portrait photography, just because the quality that it produces, especially with the Black Pro Mist on, it gives a nice dreamy atmosphere. It just looks amazing. It is heavy though. I will recommend, if you are trying to pack light, you may not want to bring the 85, and that's only because of the weight. The 50 millimeter is like, just in hand, it's like probably a third of the weight of it. So then next, moving on, I'm going to talk about speed lights and strobes. So what I'm going to be bringing to Momocon is the V1. I may bring the V100, just depending. I don't have a particular differentiation when it comes to the V1 or the V100. I know the V100 is a little bit stronger. It is able to take a couple more picture or flashes before it starts overheating. So I'm probably just going to bring the V1 just because I like to cycle through all my gear. But with the V1, what's really cool about it is it has a model light that comes out of the head here. It is very light, and it has a magnetic ring. And with this magnetic ring, I'm going to pair it with the Godox. I believe this is called the AK. I don't remember what this little accessory bag is called. I think it's the AK or the RK. But either way, it comes with a bunch of different accessories that you can put on your speed light. So for example, if you're using the speed light, if you want a harsh light, that's totally fine. However, if you want to diffuse it a little bit, there's a little magnetic accessory here that you're able to add some diffusion, and then you don't even have to shoot it right at them. You can shoot it in the air, you can shoot it behind, you can shoot it towards a wall, for example. So what I recommend is, if you're going to use the V1 or the V100, I do recommend getting that little accessory clip because it has so many different types, and it is very useful when I've been shooting pictures at cosplay conventions. And then moving on to the transmitter. Right now, to keep it small, I'm using the Godox X3. And this transmitter is awesome because it has a little OLED screen. It's super, super tiny. You're able to control the modeling lights. And yeah, you know, it just does what it needs to do as a transmitter. So then, getting into my favorite part that I've been waiting to talk about here is my light stand. So for the Godox V1, I can put it on my camera, you know, like so, and I can shoot like that. That's totally fine. I do that sometimes. However, what I've been bringing are two different detachable accessories here to be able to quickly set up a tripod. And so let me get it in here. So like so, I can quickly set up this tripod here. I'm not going to extend the legs out, but the legs do extend. This tripod right here does go pretty long here. And so it's probably taller than me when it comes to the extension of the tripod, but it is very lightweight. That is something that I cannot understate, is how easy it is to be able to break it apart. Both of these fit in the 10-liter bag, so I can just chuck it in there. You know, I can even throw this tripod right here, the base of it, into my pocket. You know, this little monopod-like area right here can go into the bag, or even go into the tripod little slot here if needed. And so I can then easily put that together. So that is an amazing find. I appreciate, I believe it was Marcus Plyer who put me on to that, and that has been an amazing find, and I've used it in our last Momocon that I went to, and it's just something that I can easily set up. And I do want to also take a second to talk about how if you're carrying heavy gear, sometimes that makes you a target. So for example, when we were at Momocon last year, I was carrying this light little stand and everything that I can easily pack up, put in my bag, whereas I saw a couple photographers with some heavy duty gear, and we're talking about big setups, large soft boxes, and I saw security go and tell them, hey, sorry, you can't use anything that has to go on the ground, you can't use anything too large. And I don't think there was any hard rule about it. Maybe there is in the Momocon handbook or guidelines that we're agreeing to, but I think it was more like a feel thing. So if the security saw you with something large that looks like it can take up space, or looks like it can do some damage if it falls, you know, to people or to the equipment, then I think they decided, hey, we're not going to allow that. So being able to be small, light, be able to pack it up, I think that also made me less of a target when it came to security and taking pictures there with a full off camera speed light setup. So then next, what I want to get into here is the softbox. So this softbox is the Angler Fast Box. This is the 20-inch. I do have a couple other ones by them. But what's really cool is how quickly you can get it set up and take your pictures, then collapse. Then you can throw it right back in your bag. It is also magnetic here. So as you can see here, it'll fit right in. And I don't even need to do anything extra here. The V1 will fit right in there and it is good to go. I just need a transmitter after that. And so this has been a very light setup for me if I'm doing run and gun. If I know I'm going to be moving a whole lot, then this is what I take as well, as the Angler Fast Box. And this lock is pretty amazing. And so you can shake it, it won't fall out. It has a little locking mechanism that you actually need to press the button, and then you need to kind of twist it to be able to get it unlocked. So all that goes into what I'm going to be bringing for Momocon. So I'll pack it out. I'll make sure that I have all my accessories with me, deciding each day. Sometimes on the days I may switch a couple things out here and there. So for example, I may not always bring the fast box every day, or I may not always bring the tripod every day. I may say, hey, I know I'm going to be moving a lot, let me go ahead and bring the fast box. Or hey, all my areas of interest for today will be usually in one place, so I'll just have the tripod set up, break it down and set it up in between panels that I'm going to, or when I'm going to get something to eat or something like that. So all that is all very light. I will actually say I think the lens, the 85mm, is probably the heaviest thing out of everything that I have here, which is just insane to me when you compare like the softbox or the strobe or even the tripod itself. So that is what I wanted to show you guys today when getting set up for Momocon 2025. I appreciate your time. If you're interested in learning more, please leave me a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.